When Lily texted me, "Can't make it tonight," I didn't think much of it. She'd been working late lately, always tired, always busy. I simply replied, "Sure." But that single word carried more truth than I realized. It wasn't just agreement, it was surrender. I didn't know it yet, but that would be the last time I'd ever eat dinner waiting for someone who had already left the table emotionally. That night, I set the plates as usual. 2 plates, 2 glasses, the small candle she loved flickering on the corner of the dining table. I told myself she deserved rest, that maybe tomorrow would be different. The pasta cooled while I scrolled through our old photos, remembering how she used to tease me for overcooking the sauce. But the silence in the apartment had weight. It pressed against the walls, against my chest, until even breathing felt like pretending. The phone stayed quiet. No updates, no apologies, not even the courtesy of a goodnight text. A few months ago, that would have worried me. Now it just confirmed what I'd been avoiding. Love doesn't end with a fight, it fades with absence, one missed dinner at a time. I ate alone, forcing a smile that no one saw. Every bite tasted like memory. Like the dinners we used to share after long days, the laughter over spilled wine, the late-night talks about dreams that now felt foreign. I thought of calling her, but what would I say? "I miss you. Come home." Those words belonged to a version of us that didn't exist anymore. When I finally cleared the table, I realized something I hadn't before. I wasn't just alone for the night. I had been alone for months, clinging to the ghost of a connection that no longer reached back. The truth was simple and cruel. She had stopped showing up long before she canceled that dinner. I turned off the light, sat in the dark for a long while, and let the silence speak louder than her absence. That night, I ate alone, but it wasn't just dinner that ended. Something inside me quietly broke, and for the first time, I stopped trying to fix what had already fallen apart. The next morning, sunlight slipped through the blinds, landing on the empty side of the bed where Lily used to sleep. Her pillow was untouched, the sheets perfectly smooth, as if she hadn't been there in weeks. I reached for my phone out of habit. No message. No call. Nothing. I went to make coffee, the way I always did, half expecting to hear her humming from the shower. But the apartment was dead quiet. And all that filled the air was the faint hum of the refrigerator. That's when I noticed something small but strange. Her favorite mug was gone. The one with the faded blueprint that said "Good vibes only." It wasn't in the sink. Not in the cabinet. It had simply disappeared. A cold realization crept in. Lily hadn't just skipped dinner. She'd been slowly moving out of our life, piece by piece, while I was too blinded by routine to notice. Her overnight bag missing from the closet, her perfume no longer on the dresser, even her slippers from under the bed gone. She hadn't canceled dinner. She had canceled us. I tried calling her once, twice. Straight to voicemail. The same soft automated voice told me what I already knew. "The number you're trying to reach is unavailable." By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove to her office. The receptionist recognized me, but hesitated when I asked for Lily. After a long pause, she said quietly, "She doesn't work here anymore." My stomach dropped. "She left?" I asked. "When?" The woman looked uncomfortable. "About 3 weeks ago." "Didn't she tell you?" I didn't answer. I just nodded, thanked her, and walked out. The city looked different that day, louder, harsher, and different. It was like the world had moved on and forgotten to tell me. I drove aimlessly for hours until I ended up at the small restaurant where we had our first date. Same corner booth. Same candlelight. Only difference was, I was alone again. The waitress smiled politely and asked, "Waiting for someone?" I almost laughed at the irony. "Not anymore," I said softly. When I left the restaurant, I checked my phone one last time. Still no message. That's when it hit me. She didn't forget to text me back. She just didn't have a reason to anymore. 2 days passed before I finally heard from her, but not through a call or a message. A mutual friend sent me a photo from social media. There she was, Lily, smiling wide in a beach selfie, sunglasses reflecting the sunset. And next to her, a man I'd never seen before. His arm around her waist. The caption read, "New beginnings. Finally free." I stared at the screen until my hands stopped trembling. The date on the post? The same night she texted, "Can't make it tonight." That was the night I'd sat alone, lighting a candle for a dinner that was never meant to happen. That was the night she was already gone. Already someone else's beginning while I was still holding on to her ending. For a moment, I felt anger rise like fire in my throat. But then, strangely, I felt nothing. Just a quiet acceptance that the person I loved had been slipping away long before she actually left. I had just refused to see it. Every "I'm tired," every canceled plan, every distracted smile. It was all her way of saying goodbye without having to speak the word. That night I didn't cook. I didn't wait. I didn't scroll through old photos trying to remember what we were. Instead, I opened the window, let the cool air fill the apartment, and for the first time in months, I breathed without expecting her to walk through the door. The next morning, I deleted her number, not out of hate but peace. Love doesn't always end with a fight. Sometimes it ends quietly, like a candle burning out after all its wax is gone. Weeks later, I went back to that same restaurant where we once celebrated our anniversary. I sat at the same table, ordered one plate, and for the first time, the silence didn't hurt. I realized I wasn't waiting anymore. I was healing. Because that night she texted, "Can't make it tonight." She wasn't just canceling dinner. She was teaching me the last lesson I needed to learn. Sometimes, the most painful goodbyes are disguised as ordinary nights. And sometimes, eating alone for the last time is the first step toward never feeling lonely again.